All right, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know why you clicked. I got to play a little over an hour of the Rivals 2 demo at Genesis, and I've gotten the okay to talk about all of it, except for a couple specific things. Gonna lay those out. I got to play for both singles and doubles, played for about an hour and a half-ish, including some time that was literally just me and one of the devs being able to sit down, run games. Basically, everything's free game. I can talk about what I did like, what I didn't like, anything, as long as it was shown in the demo I played. There are some very small caveats, and that is I cannot talk about anything that might be related to monetization of the game. Obviously, I have no idea. Don't know if it's paid. I don't know if it's free to play. I don't know if they're doing skins. Game looks great though. Thank you for letting me play. From Cyberhex, probably a dumb question, but I want to be sure about this. Do air dodges work the same way they do as in Rivals 1, i.e. no free fall afterwards? The answer is yes, but, because it doesn't work the same, but there's no free fall. So you can act out of an air dodge. The time before you can act is a lot longer though. It's not crazy, but it's still a lot, like it's not ult, but it is still a lot longer before you can do something again, which is really key because there's a lot of things in Rivals 1 where it's like, oh, which is, to be clear, a bad habit of mine anyways. But there's times where you're like, I want to air dodge through an attack and then counter hit. You just can't do that. You will air dodge through the attack and then you will just be sitting there and they're probably gonna hit you like before you can get out of it. Someone asked if air dodges reset on hit like an ultimate, and I don't know ult well enough for that. Or I also don't remember trying that in Rivals. Isaiah, do you think this game will be more noob friendly? I.e., is this game easier to pick up for someone that's completely new to the plat fighter genre? I feel like that's the hardest part of getting someone to try smaller plat fighters like Rivals, Rushdown, Revolt. And I think absolutely. I don't think that it's less complex. I think there's still a lot of really good decision making you have to do. Like this is not baby's first game for babies. And I think smart players will by far outshine, like being smart and having good tech skill and everything will still be very important. But it's things that are already in Rivals, like wall jumping is easier. Horizontal wave dashing is still in the game. So you can wave dash perfectly horizontal. You're not trying to get the like that still feels like Rivals 1. Like a lot of the tech that you think of as being like super complicated in Melee or even PM isn't like that in Rivals 1, but the game's still fast, and with hit falling is something that will certainly separate good players from bad players or new players from experienced players. But I think you'll be able to jump into getting to the meat of the game much faster in this. I think part of if the game is noob friendly though is what the tutorial system will be like. I think if we have a good tutorials like we do with current Rivals, I think that'll be great. It still needs a lot of improvement, but Rivals tutorials is the best out of any platform fighter, mainly because most of them don't have any. How easy it is execution wise? Feels about as easy as Rivals 1 for most things. I didn't test everything. Someone asked, is there ledge hogging, or is it more like how it is in Smash 4 Ultimate, which has ledge trumping, where you grab the ledge and the person mounts off? It's ledge hogging. You grab the ledge, they cannot. They fall. All right, Dakota, is Cake still going to be better than all of us? Answer is yes, Cake will still be better than all of us. More specifically, I think Cake is just going to be top 100 in Melee within 2 years, and still will be very good at Rivals. And oh my god, it's a game with both things. Cake will be very, 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 very good. Spokane says, Orcane top tier. And I will say, Orcane was not a character that I could play in the video game. Oh, I didn't actually say which 4 characters there were. Zetter, Raster, and oh my god, why did I just blank? Who's the, Rano, Frog. The Rivals 2 Crag trailer that dropped was there, and we got to try the demo after that trailer dropped, and so Crag was also in the trailer. So it was those 4 characters. So sure, Arcane top tier. Question is, do you think we'll get Dan as a playable character? I don't think we're gonna get Dan as a playable character. The word is out on Sunny, or if we're just going to get the sandbag again. A more detailed question. How effective did crouch cancel or ASDI down feel relative to PM? There's 2 other questions. I'm gonna go through them one at a time. I really didn't notice it. And I do notice weird things in Melee and PM where sometimes it's like, oh, I thought you were going to go way further. There is crouch cancel. I know that the devs have specifically said, like, it just is not as strong. You're not going to be holding down and not getting sent anywhere at 50, that kind of thing. Fudgepop, who works on the game, is making the AI, but has familiarity with everything else. I will just read their words out loud here. CC or ASDI down, which is what ASDI is kind of what Rivals already has, which is smash DI, but you're just holding in a direction instead of like wiggling a stick really hard. They're generally much weaker, but still play a factor at lower damage values. To me, it's a happy medium where it feels relatively intuitive. What can and cannot be CC'd, whereas in PM, it can still feel pretty silly even to this day, which I totally agree with, because I've played Melee for 8 years and PM also for 8 years, and there's still things that I'm like, oh my god, how did you lift that? Or how did you not get sent anywhere, or things like that. Also in Saber's question, did parry just replace spot dodges, or how does that mechanic work now? So you can shield and you can parry. So you can just hold shield, or if you're holding shield and then hit the special button, you'll parry instead. And I think that's actually really interesting. So you can hold shield, which is a like safer way to deal with incoming attacks. Or if you're like, I feel way more confident in your timing and I think I know exactly what you want to go for right now, you can parry it and get an even stronger punish off of it. And then the final question was, are jab cancels still in the game? And yes, they are. Jab cancels are still in. There's actually a lot of cancels. Is there a way to escape grabs if the opponent doesn't pummel? Yeah, it's a pretty short timer. Because there's no mashing in the game, you just get out automatically if they... So there was times where I grabbed someone and I was like, oh wait, do I want to do a regular pummel or a special pummel? And then suddenly I got grab released because I thought too long. Some of the pummels also just, like the special pummel specifically, will throw the person anyways, so you have to think about that. Not all the special pummels throw. Some of them are just like, you're poisoned now, or you're on fire, like that kind of thing. But some of them are like Craig's, where it's like, you're in a command grab now, you are cube. I know it's been covered, but if you guess which one they're gonna do, if they're gonna do special or regular pummel, and you hit the same button, you just get out automatically also grab break. All right, what are your thoughts on the risk reward of normal pummel versus special pummel, or just not pummeling at all? I really liked this, actually. I didn't think I was going to. I really like it. Because there are a lot of times where I was just like, I got the grab and I just am trying to get it for the grab itself or for the positioning or whatever. And I'm going to throw right away because I don't want them to get the 50-50 and then get out of the grab. But there are times where it's like, man, having that extra damage would be really nice. I'm going to hit A. Oh, not asking this question. You only get one of each. I can't do special pummel and then special pummel and then and then regular. Like I can't do the coin flip and just keep you in there. You get one pummel. And after that, they will either get the grab break where they're just out, or you have to throw, depending on which one you chose. And then are there any examples of new moves or character changes that really stood out to you as particularly interesting? Crag is very different now. Crag is much bigger. I think it's in a very good way. Like people were like a little unsure about how big Crag is. I think Crag being big is dope. Crag being so big and having a command grab that works in the air now, because he picks you up and puts you into basically turns you into a rock. It is actually scary. Turn down for Walt. Tell me about Zetterburn's Fire wisely. I must hear it. Zetterburn's Fire still does increase knockback if you're on fire. I'm not going to say 2 times or anything like that because I don't know if that's true anymore. But Zetterburn's Fire, if you're on fire, does more knockback. Who would have guessed? Simple question. Is there a button mapping for wave dash, parry, and grab? Or are they only accessible by button combinations? I.e., wave dash is jump and air dodge right now, but like things like frame makers let you just put a button for wave dashing. Yes, there's parry. There is not a wave dash macro. You still have to hit the buttons, but because it is Rivals wave dash and not Melee or PM wave dash, it's a lot easier. It's a little bit more lenient. You can do it perfectly horizontal. You can do it through the platforms, just like in Rivals. There is a macro for parry, and there's, I guess, a macro for grab. Grab, you can just have a grab button, but you can also shield and hit A. Next question, how does movement feel? My biggest worry direction-wise with Rival 2 came with the revelation they removed ledge boosting. Rivals to me is about how good and fluid it feels to move around. Does it still have that fluidity? I think Rivals 2 feels amazing for movement. Renzo mentions in here that moonwalking feels really good and clean. Some stuff is obviously a little different, but it feels very fluid. It feels great. Yes, there's not certain things like ledge boosting, but like you're also not getting caught in shields the way that you are in Melee, where you have to like learn how to play around that with like shield drops. Just holding shield and pushing down just will do the equivalent of a melee shield drop. Movement and platform movement and stage movement feels so good. Yes, it feels very, very, very fluid. What is Disadvantage State like without Drift DI? How does hit stun duration feel compared to Rivals 1? So this is a hot take, I will say. Drift DI was probably my least favorite mechanic in Rivals 1, which I know is a very hot take because people really like Drift DI. Drift DI was always one of those things that was, especially when I was trying to get someone who is used to Melee or used to PM or used to any Smash game to play Rivals, to explain to someone how Drift DI works is rough. I don't like Drift DI because I don't think it's intuitive at all. I think DI changing your directional influence line makes sense. Drift DI being like in and out does not feel as intuitive to me. And that just might be because I played so much of other Smash games. But everyone that's played Rivals has had that moment of like, oh, I accidentally held out because I was trying to DI a move and I DI'd the wrong direction. And now I'm dead at 40 because that's how Drift DI works. And I was never great at using it to escape things, so I was the worst of both worlds. The way Disadvantage State works feels good though, especially if you're going for combos or you are being comboed. It feels like a good level. Again, I'm biased because I play a lot of other platform fighters, but it feels very natural at least. Spiker! If I absolutely dislike shields, grabs, and ledges, will Rivals 2 make me not hate them as much? Maybe. I think it handles grabs and ledges really well. Because ledges, like the way invincibility works, you're not able to like refresh invincibility and just stay there. Also, I think that having ledges, because a lot of people, they either don't like how trapped they feel on the ledge or they think the ledge is too strong. So I think the fact that you don't have as much invincibility, but you can mix up, do I do regular get up attack, special get up attack, do I ledge dash, like all of that stuff. Like I think you have good options, but none of them are, I'm invincible and just deal with it. Are there shield pokes in games? I didn't see any. Because the shields don't get smaller, it just looks more damaged. So it's a glass orb that starts to crack. So there's no shield pokes. It's just, do you have a shield or don't you? Does every character have the same jump squat? Youngblood did confirm that they all have the same jump squat, like in Rivals, which means that wave dashing feels the most similar to Rivals. Does hit falling feel as crispy as in Rivals 1? I think so. I was definitely able to start doing it right away. Yeah, I think the hit falling, it feels great. The one thing is like hit falling on shield obviously would be stupid. Because being able to like hit fall Rano up air 1 on shield would be a true infinite to break your shield. Can't do that. Very interesting question next. Do you feel like this game and Rivals are different enough to coexist, or should each have their own comps? Or not should, or can each have their own comp scene? Or will everyone switch over or somewhere in between? I think they're different enough. I would be very surprised if there's not still people playing Rivals 1. I think most will switch. But that's because I've just seen so many games come out. But I don't think this is going to be a Melee to Brawl situation where people all play Brawl and then eventually we all go back to Melee. It could even be like Street Fighter, how there's still a ton of people who play Third Strike. But a lot of people also play the newest game. The core people who are just going to stick with Rivals 1 will be a lot smaller though, and then it'll definitely become even more than it already is. It will become a Discord game, a game that you boot up to play with friends. Is Zed or Shine finally down B and not, or is it still neutral B? Now it's still neutral B, and I will give a very hot take. It should be neutral B. It makes more sense. Does the mechanic of getting resources back going out of special jump with special fall with a wall jump still exist? You can still wall jump. I've talked about it before, but you cannot do like an up special into wall jump, which took a long time to get used to. But you can do some of your like downward or downward or sideways angled special attacks and get those back. So it's just so that you can't like Zedder up B, wall jump and immediately go straight up into the ledge. It's just a safety thing, basically. What do the special pummels do for characters other than Zedder and Rano? And I'll just cover all of them as long as we're doing that. So Zedder, just fire, obviously. Rano, just the poison slash. Crag, when he uses his special pummel, actually basically does like the DK command grab where he picks you up. And so you can either just do that command grab straight out, or if out of a regular grab, you can use your special pummel to then put someone to the rock and then do it. And then Raster, I think it had I think it put you into like a tornado and lifted you up. I'm trying to remember. It was the air pillar. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. It puts you into the tornado and kind of lifts you up. How is block stun? Is there any push block? I don't remember push block, which is where if you hold the direction, you can like move while you're in shield. Block stun felt pretty normal. Enough that I don't remember noting it. And like I said, I didn't lab stuff, so if I didn't note it, it probably just means that it felt standard to me. Someone said, can I chain moonwalks? I didn't try, but I heard someone else say you can, so we're gonna assume that they are right. Is there good controller remapping? There will be. It's pretty good right now. Like I said, you just can't control dead zones yet, but I'm sure that will be added because it's literally a UI element already. Did the demo build have a purple stage background when in the last stock situation? I think there was like more than one stage that had a special thing on last stock, if I remember right. Because I did note like, oh, you're doing that still. The other thing is there's not a galaxy effect, but there is very clear like, oh, this is a kill move, and it's not like alt where it's like, oh, the weird zoom in and pause, and then sometimes it doesn't kill, like, but there were definitely like hit pause for effect kind of things. It just wasn't Galaxy. So a bunch of people have said this game is going to do really well. Do you believe the same, and why? That is a really good question. I think it has a lot of potential. I think it could do very well. I think the game feels amazing. Having Rivals 1 under the team's belt means that there's now a ton of people who have their eyes on Rivals 2 and say like, oh, I didn't give it a shot at first because I didn't realize it was going to stick around for almost a decade. I've heard so many Melee players, and that's just because I hang out with Melee people specifically, but I've heard a lot of Melee and PM players, I'm sure also Ult and other games, that have all said they really want to check it out. I think it depends on the model. I think if it's free to play, it'll do better, but I think it's going to be very accessible. I think it feels great for people who are already high level in other platform fighters. I really like the pixel art of the first game, but a lot of people, 3D just looks better and they enjoy it more. For a lot of people that are like, I will play it because of that. I think it's just gonna be a lot more accessible than Rivals 1. And Rivals 1 is already a game that a ton of people are like, this is one of the best platform fighters. I don't think it'll ever be like bigger than Melee or Ult. I do think that there's a good chance this will become a like standard third game at Smash tournaments kind of thing, where it's like, oh yeah, Smash Nationals will just always have these 3 games instead of it being like right now where it's like some have Rivals, some don't. Yeah, I think the game's going to do really well. So I think I'm just going to call it for the night. I will be streaming more now, again, finally. I also have a couple of YouTube videos that I'm in the middle of scripting. So I'm not going to be like, I'm back to 3 days a week streams and I'll be uploading every single week for videos, but I will for sure be doing more than before. I'm not doing God's work. I just got very lucky and straight up had asked Steven after the Rivals Grand Finals. I was like, all right, I know there's a build here. What do I need to do to see it? And he's like, oh, just come over here. We'll play.